All right, we've got a special live stream that we're doing here. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller, along with my colleague Hunter Forst. What an overnight it was down in Florida. We're going to see impacts from Helene, which is now a weakened system, but we're going to talk about that. We're going to feel some of those impacts from the system, even though it's hundreds of miles away, Hunter, here in Hampton Roads this afternoon.
Exactly. We're going to see those outer bands making their way into the area, which is why we have that increased tornado risk in the tornado watch in effect until 6 o'clock this evening.
Yeah, a lot to watch here. We're going to go ahead and talk about why we called this weather alert day. You and I were working yesterday morning. We said, okay, let's get folks ready for it. We do have an enhanced risk. It's technically a level 2 or slight risk from the Storm Prediction Center. But let's take a look at our weather alert day and why we're concerned with this. You can see this afternoon, basically from noon through about 7 or 7:30. I said, okay, we'll run it through 8 just to make sure. We're going to have a line coming through with the potential to produce some isolated kind of spin-up tornadoes. And Hunter, this isn't the type of thing that, you know, maybe back in the Midwest we cover long track tornadoes, these supercells that form. These are little discrete cells that kind of wrap around with some of these tropical systems that can spin up and go away very quickly.
Yeah, that's exactly right. These type of tornadoes that come along with tropical systems spin up super quickly, and a lot of them are also normally rain wrapped. So that's another thing. You can't go outside and see these type of twisters if you wanted to. It's just more important to just stay indoors. Don't want to check if it's actually coming your way because most likely won't be able to see it.
That's such a great point, Hunter. You know, a lot of times, you know, basically what we're saying is we're going to be looking for some cells to move through this afternoon. Now, if there's a warning issued for your area, it may be very difficult to actually see it. And these can sometimes be very low level, so they're a little tricky to spot on radar, but we've got excellent technology. The National Weather Service is locked in on this, and you can bet that our team here, Hunter and Tim, through the afternoon, you'll be watching. This hot time is going to be most likely mid-afternoon to late afternoon. The number one need, Hunter, for our viewers is they have to have ways to be informed and get alerts.
Exactly, because these type of storms, they could spawn twisters super quickly, then they could go back up super quickly, and then they could even get respawned once again, you know, 10 minutes later. So they're always up and down, and you never know what's exactly going to be coming with these types of storms.
But we did get a watch issued for our area. Right now, you can see the skies are mostly cloudy. This is a Priority Automotive live sky view, and we do have mostly cloudy conditions. We'll be taking a look at the kind of the bigger picture here. And what I want to do is go back, okay? And that's where it is right now. But let's go back. And Hunter, I'm going to ask you a little bit here about the landfall, and we'll take a look at this as we get into it. You can see it made that run towards the Big Bend last night. The landfall as a Category 4, I believe that will go down on record as the hardest or most intense hurricane to hit that part of Florida. Cat 4 right there in the Big Bend. Talk to us a little bit about that. You came from Tampa, so you spent time there along the Florida coast. That's kind of more like a natural wildlife refuge, so it's not super heavily populated. But we're talking storm surge down there was close to 15 feet in some areas they were concerned.
Yeah, the Big Bend saw catastrophic storm surge, you know, devastating. And even along the entire western coast of Florida, saw storm surge down in Tampa up to 8 feet. They saw record high storm surge, and the storm wasn't even, it was 120 miles off the coast.
Yeah. So we can speak to this thing. Not only was it super intense, but this was a large area that was coming up and impacting the Florida coast. And then again, that landfall right there around Perry, just southwest of Perry, Florida. And that happened around 11:10 last night. So you see what happened through the overnight. Once these things move inland, we actually did a story on this earlier, they decay pretty quickly as it moved up through southern parts of Georgia. It weakened. You notice some of the drying on the south side of that, and it became a little bit lopsided. It's actually started to take on some extra tropical characteristics this morning. It continues to weaken, but look at this heavy rain, Hunter, that kind of moved up through the gut here into South Carolina, and you can see northeast Georgia, and then that rain coming into this. I know you're going to have a lot more to share with us on some of the storm reports, so let's go ahead and take this full, and I want to give you the very latest on the position right now. This was the 8 o'clock update. We're going to be getting the 11 o'clock in shortly, and it may actually come in a little early early. We may be able to provide that before we're off with this live stream right here. But at 8 o'clock, the movement was to the north at 30 miles per hour. It was interesting. This track was actually a little bit east of what the official track was before, but it is showing signs of making that turn more to the north-northwest, and eventually it's going to cross over into Tennessee and Kentucky, and then it just sits there for a few days. Now, flooding rain is a major concern for those mountainous areas. You can see especially western portions of North Carolina where there's a level 4 flood outlook. Level 4, you think about this, for Hampton Roads, we just had a level 1 outlook for this afternoon. There could be some runoff, there could be some issues there, but what I think the areas we're most concerned with, the western areas, the mountains of North Carolina, and even into Virginia where we have a level 3 threat. Now, Hunter, I know you've been looking at some of the storm reports. What do you have in terms of what's happening out in the mountains?
Yeah, Craig, that's absolutely right. We've seen a slew of flash flood storm reports over the last couple of hours due to a couple of factors. We had the frontal boundary that was already bringing a significant amount of rain to the area, but now we're adding this Storm Helene on top of it. So some areas have already seen up to a foot of rain in parts of western North Carolina, and they're already seeing record heights of rivers and even up to a foot again of some of this rainfall over the last 24 hours or so. Now, we have this storm report in Table Rock, North Carolina for the county of Burke. They said major flash flooding along Linville River. Swift water rescue is ongoing to get people that are trapped in rapidly rising floodwaters. Now, that's why it's really called a flash flood, because these waters can rise so quickly. And sometimes in a flash, you're dry 1 minute and then water is inundating your house in the next 10. So that's why it's always super important to stay informed when you do have these flash flood risks. And also another major issue of this one was that the time of the report was at 2:50 in the morning. So you could be sleeping and not well aware of what's going on. And it's also dark out, and it's dark for the next couple of hours after that. So again, that's why it's always super important to stay informed no matter what the weather issue is, whether it's flash flooding, a tornado, the hurricane coming ashore. That's why it's always so important to continue to stay alerted and having those alerts, especially throughout the day today when we have our tornado watch in effect until 6 o'clock, which Craig is going to have more updates on that.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that right now, Hunter. What I wanted to show you tomorrow, that area of heaviest rain shifts a little bit farther to the west, and it looks like it may be focused more over portions of Tennessee and Kentucky. So ongoing concerns there. We'll take a look at the satellite and the radar images. You could see a line of intense rainfall, and this is what we are most concerned with. I'll go ahead and show you this area that we're going to watch. Basically, it's right in here. I hope you can see the arrow on the screen, maybe not, but let me just go ahead and show you. Again, we do have this potential for, here we go, I think that'll do it. There you go, you can see that. This line right here is moving in our direction, and it's been along this line that we've seen some quick spin-up tornadoes. So we'll take a look at that, how it's been progressing. You can see in the Raleigh area earlier, there was a tornado warning for that cell that you see the arrow pointing to the flood advisory. Right now, that tornado warning is no more, so good news there, but we do have the flood advisory for the heavy rain, and this is the line that will eventually wrap through our area later this afternoon. Down to the south, and it looks like they just issued a new flood warning, and it looks like another tornado warning. I'm going to zoom in over here and just take a quick look right in this area. We're doing this all on the fly, but let me show you this new tornado warning, and that's just basically on the edge of our radar. Let me come over to camera 2. If I can come out on camera 2, I want to talk for a second. We'll see if our director can do this. I want to talk a little bit about what we're looking at with the radar here. Okay, you go, well, that doesn't look like there's anything going on. Basically, what I'm showing you right now is a live look at our radar out of Wakefield. It is shooting through very intense rain, and this is basically the outer stretch, but it does give you at least a heads up, this warning that there is a tornado warning. And again, these types of cells will be popping up. So I just wanted to show you the reason you don't see a more dramatic signature there is because it's still reading from the Wakefield radar site. That being said, there's more intense rain down to the south. You see a new flash flood warnings issued. This one until 1:30 for Cumberland. Again, Harnett, these areas in North Carolina, very intense rainfall. Down to the south, there is a severe thunderstorm warning with a possible tornado, radar indicated, and some potential for some hail. I don't know that they're seeing a lot of hail down there, but again, it's the subtle rotations that we're going to be watching for. And this line that you see out to the west and to the southwest, this is the one that we are concerned with in our area. Now, the heavy rain around Asheville, you take a look at this. This area has seen a tremendous amount of rain. There's real concern along the French Broad River for potential record flooding. The rainfalls, as Hunter mentioned, you know, the stuff that they already had, and it was wet before Helene came into play, so the ground was already charged with a lot of water. Then you get all of the additional rain, and that triggers a flooding over the mountains, and folks there, again, on high alert, watching for potential issues through that area and up to the north, even into southwest Virginia. So we're watching that very carefully. Again, potential for more flooding. As we take a look at this line, I wanted to show you, I put this little distance indication on it, about 175 miles from Norfolk right now. And I said, you know, let's take a look at how much it had moved over the previous hour, and it was about 30 miles. So you go, okay, this is what? You do the quick math, I'll say between 5 and 6 hours or so before it gets here. Right now, we're at 10:30. So if this were to continue on at that similar pace, you'd say, okay, 5 hours from now, 6 hours from now, you're talking what? You're looking at 3:30, maybe 4 o'clock, something like that, when this intense stuff would be rolling through downtown Norfolk. It may accelerate and get here a little earlier. It could slow down a little bit, but that just gives you a feel for kind of how things are timing out right now with that line. And again, very intense. Here's our future cast, okay? And we can take a look at this because you'll see these isolated cells, pretty intense. This model has a pretty good handle on it. You'll notice around 2 o'clock, that main line is still off to the southwest, but we get some additional development out ahead of it. So anytime this afternoon, you need to be weather aware. We talk about staying in touch with 13 News Now. Make sure you've got your mobile app downloaded on your mobile devices. The 13 News Now app, a great way to stay informed. You can check us out on 13 Plus. You've got access to all of our streaming platforms. It's a great way to stay up on what's going on. If you are away from your television, though, you'll get the alerts through our mobile app. Notice the heavier rain back across central Virginia, kind of filling in and back over the mountains. There could be some pretty heavy cells as well. As we continue into the mid to late afternoon, this is when we see our chances for showers going up. Could see some heavier cells here and there. The watch includes the peninsula, the south side, and North Carolina. And we'll talk more about the risk with that. But these isolated cells kind of moving along with the line still coming through. This is at 3 o'clock as we go a little later through the afternoon. Again, we're just on the fringe of this, but with the line coming through, it's going to be a little breezy. We'll see winds sustained 10 to 20 miles per hour, some gusts 25 to 30 miles per hour or so. And then that, again, potential for some tropical downpours and those isolated spin-up tornadoes that Hunter was just talking about. Now, as we go past 7 o'clock, just a few lingering showers, maybe a couple lingering heavier cells here and there. But I'd say after 7:30, 8 o'clock, things look a lot better. You can see, again, a brand new tornado warning issued just west of Raleigh. This one just popped up. So we'll go ahead and take a little closer look at that one. Let me put the auto warning back up on this so you can see the details, and it just pops up on the screen here. This one until 11 o'clock for Chatham and Orange counties. Again, radar indicated, and there is circulation. You said earlier, Hunter, that you don't typically get a lot of opportunity. You can come back on in over here, Hunter. You know, these things a lot of times rain wrapped. A lot of times there's not that clear classic signature, but we're looking for little signs, inbound, outbound rotations within some of these lines.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We use the velocity on these types of radars to show or indicate the red and the green, and then the red is indicating the wind's going away from the radar, the green indicating going towards the radar. And when you have that spin in the atmosphere, which allows us to really indicate where the rotation is within the storm. So even though it doesn't look exactly like, you know, the natural or what you may be used to of the supercell look, that's how we're able to indicate where that rotation is in a line of storms like this.
It's interesting. You see this, and again, with a classic supercell, you'd get a very clear hook You
Right.
see that. You hear about the hook echo, and it looks like a comma. Or, you see that. With these types, what we're going to be looking for is little kinks kind of along the line, and that may be all the indication we have. And then as it gets closer, keep in mind, again, this is out of Wakefield. So as this gets closer to the radar site, we're going to be getting lower and lower in the atmosphere. We'll be able to start picking up more of that. But I just wanted to show you this. Again, this tornado watch is going to run through 6 o'clock this evening. And if this line had no history of producing tornadoes, we wouldn't be as concerned. I mean, it'd still be something we'd watch. But given that these things keep popping up and kind of randomly, we were talking with our news management about, where should we send crews to do this? I said, the thing we need to do is have everybody be ready to respond rapidly, okay? I would love, okay, and I'll say this right now, and Hunter, I'm sure you agree, I would love if we had nothing. And this was a bust, and say, hey, everything was there, and, we were watching for tornadoes. Nothing happens. I will be the happiest little meteorologist you guys know, all right? But that being said, we need folks to be ready, because there is that chance, Hunter, that we could get these isolated tornadoes, and our news crews will be ready to rapidly deploy and get to these different locations.
Right. I mean, when I woke up this morning and I was already seeing tornado warnings in Myrtle Beach and areas of South Carolina into North Carolina, even early this morning.
Yeah.
And I knew that was the line that was kind of inching its way towards our area. So it was just an indication already earlier this morning that this line already can produce these spin-up tornadoes, and that's going to make its way towards us.
Yeah, it means business, and you knew we were going to be in for a busy afternoon. I can tell you Tim Pandagis has already been monitoring all of this from home as well. We've been coordinating, and he's going to be in and ready to go for you this afternoon. Now, this is another model. This is the HRR, which the HRRR. It's not HER, but it's, we call it the HRR model, HRRR, high resolution rapid refresh model. It updates every hour. We get a new HRR model coming in. And you can see how at noon, a little bit of wet weather down to the south. Certainly we'll be paying close attention on the radar. I'm going to stick around, and Hunter and I will have you covered through the noon show. You can see that there's some more intense rainfall potentially out around I-85 and I-95. Let's take a look at how things progress. Now we're getting into 4 o'clock, and look at some of these heavier cells. This is what we're going to be concerned with, just like we're seeing some of those isolated tornado warnings out around Raleigh, areas west of Raleigh, down to the south. You mentioned around Myrtle Beach. We could, it's not a guarantee, but we could see some isolated tornado warnings issued with some of these. And you see, might be off to the southwest, could see a cell farther east. We just need to be ready to go.
Exactly. When you see Futurecast looking just like this, any one of these individual cells kind of has the opportunity to produce that spin-up tornado. It doesn't mean, they're going to be exactly right here at this exact time, but it does give a good indication of the timing and that the risk is there as we head into the afternoon and evening. Yeah,
we always say when you look at these Futurecasts, sometimes we'll time out a line, and we're going to talk about when this should clear based on this model, but don't get hung up in, oh, well, I live in, say, Acredale, and at 4 o'clock, I don't have to worry about anything. They got it down here. No, okay. There might be a more intense cell there, or it might be in Suffolk and not in Isle of Wight or whatever.
Right.
Just know that the chances will be there through the afternoon. Let's go ahead and jog it forward. We'll take you through the 6 o'clock hour. And again, still some of these intense cells potentially across parts of Chesapeake, Virginia Beach, down into the Albemarle Sound around Edenton, back up towards the Eastern Shore over the Chesapeake Bay, and maybe even back out towards Richmond. That line will come through, and we're just going to continue to monitor for any signs of rotation.
Exactly. And even though some of these areas up towards the north are in the tornado watch, right? But just because you're not in the tornado watch doesn't necessarily mean that these cells that move up towards the north can't produce. I mean, the atmosphere still could be ripe up there. So even though if you're not in the tornado watch, you still have to pay attention.
It's an excellent point, Hunter. Yeah, we have the watch out, and we're going to go through the areas under the watch. But even if you live to the north, where you're not technically in the watch, you still want to be weather aware this afternoon. 6:30, 7 o'clock, things start to move on a little bit, even by 9. This is a newer development, Hunter, because earlier when I was looking at this during daybreak, the HRR model was throwing most of the stuff offshore and clearing us by about 7:30 or 8. So here it is, 9 o'clock. o'clock and they still have some of these intense cells kind of hanging on around the outer banks. Could be a little bit later into the evening. As I mentioned, the best chances across the region will be mid-afternoon to say 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock. But some areas could see some of these cells holding on a little bit longer. Again, it could speed up, but they may hold on. So just, again, make sure you're weather aware. Good news is once it clears, things will get a lot better for us, and I'm really excited about that. Rainfall totals, and this is a new thing here. We're seeing the totals bumping up just a little bit. All along we've been saying anywhere from 1/4 of an inch up to maybe 3/4 of an inch, widespread. But there's a potential for locally higher amounts because we could see some of these heavier cells kind of training one right after the other, and you know how that can add up.
Exactly. When you have these storms and these heavier downpours just going over the same town over and over and over again, and you're getting an inch per hour rates, that just adds up, and that's how you get those locally higher amounts.
Yeah, we talk about it like we say training, but we're talking about think about cars on a railroad track. One goes, there goes the engine, then goes a coal car, then goes the next car and the next car, and you get cell after cell after cell, and that's how you can get some flash flooding, and it can add up. The one thing I do want to mention from previous on this models earlier, everybody was just in that 0 to ½ inch range. Emporia, Wakefield, Newport News, some of these western areas, they are beefing up the amounts a little bit, and I'm more interested in the trends than the specific numbers in this case. The fact that it is trending up a little bit, I think that's a result of that track being a little farther east from what was previously thought as well. So something else to consider. All right, as we take a look at the winds are not as big an issue in general.
Right, yeah.
You take a look here. I mean, this is what's happening right now. Recent wind gusts, 20 miles per hour in Norfolk.
Yeah, the wind gusts weren't really going to be our biggest or primary concern with this storm.
Nope. You see the gusts right now, 20 to 25. Now, they will pick up a bit this afternoon, so we'll take a look at that. But so far, we've only seen gusts between 15 and 20, maybe 21 miles per hour down around Elizabeth City and Kill Level Hills. All along, we've been saying winds 10 to 20 later this afternoon, gusts 30, maybe 35 miles per hour. All right, take a look at our future cast, and this is for those winds. And you could see how around Virginia Beach at Oceana, we could see gusts 25 to 30 there. That's at 2:30. Elizabeth City, about the same. Emporia, gusts to 29. Again, breezy, but not catastrophic. There was briefly, I saw the number 36 popped up there out in Emporia. So you get a little bit windier, maybe around some of those heavier cells, a little bit of outflow, but it's more the potential for the rotation and those twist ups. If we do get a tornado, you're going to have stronger winds than that, and that's just something we're going to have to watch for. But this is the general kind of thinking on the wind field. Through 5:30, you see those gusts 30 in several locations, maybe 30 to 35 down around Edenton. As we go through the overnight, once those storms, that line clears the area, look at how the winds lay down overnight. By late evening, we're in the teens. These are the gusts, and you can see by tomorrow morning, nice and peaceful heading into your weekend. So we just really need to sit tight. All right, again, downtown Norfolk, not looking too bad, but Hunter, you see the rain that's in the forecast this afternoon.
Exactly. I mean, luckily this morning it was cloudy,
right?
But luckily it was dry. But again, as we head later into the afternoon, that's when those rain chances really, really go up. So slight rain chances, 1, 2 o'clock, 20, 30, 40%. But once you get to 3, 4, 5 o'clock, 6, 7, that's when the stronger storms are most likely to get here and the heavier downpours.
Yeah, and we will be, of course, watching this for you very carefully through the whole day. Overnight, things are going to settle down. 75, the overnight low, mostly cloudy. There might be an isolated shower, too, but eventually, once those storms clear the area by mid-evening, things should be improving. And then tomorrow, how about that? 86, warm and a little muggy, but drier.
Drier. It's going to feel like summer. We deserve it.
There you go. All right, here's the 7-day outlook. You can see as we get into the weekend, it does look pretty good. Some more showers. It's going to be interesting, as the storm system kind of rains back out over Tennessee and Kentucky. There might be some remnant showers that kind of eventually drift back eastward, but it won't be anything like what we're dealing with this afternoon or what they're seeing. So again, for the weather alert day, we just want to remind folks we do have the tornado threat. We've got the tropical downpours, and we want folks to stay mindful that, again, we could see some little spin ups. So that's going to be the primary threat. Remember, there is a tornado watch until 6 o'clock tonight. Peninsula, south side, all the way out through I-95. So it's not just Hampton Roads, but it's south side and inland areas. And then North Carolina, we have a level 2 or slight risk of severe storms. Storm Prediction Center said, nope, just put up the watch now. So that's through 6 o'clock. All right, Hunter, we're going to be in covering the shows today at noon. And of course, you're going to hang in with Tim through the afternoon. I got started this morning around 3:30. So my day will be winding down after the noon show. But we will have you covered, no doubt about that, at 13 News Now. Again, if you are not able to watch, make sure you download our mobile apps. Check out the digital platforms. We will have more for you on YouTube and on Roku and all the other devices. 13 News Now, the Plus app. It's a great way to stay weather aware. Have a great afternoon. Stay safe and keep checking back for more updates.